Hello and welcome to episode 10 of All Five Rounds. We've been away for a while, haven't put out much content lately due to some technical difficulties, scheduling conflicts, whatever. So we've got a lot to get caught up with in the UFC, with Bellator, things like that. I'm one of your co-hosts, Ty O'Keefe, and I'm joined, as always, by my esteemed co-host and longtime, very close friend, Daren Loucks. Daren, you there, buddy?
I'm here, man. How are things?
I know we didn't get to put out an episode since the Conor Khabib UFC 229 presser, and although it's kind of past us, it's not past us, and it's never going to pass us until these two fight. What were your thoughts on the press conference?
Yeah, you're right. I think the press conference was, it didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. We knew Conor's gonna not let Khabib talk, and not that the Khabib does a whole lot of talking, anyways. But he wasn't gonna let him get a word in one way or another. So lots of shouting and whatnot. But it was interesting to kind of watch their facial expressions and body language during that whole thing. And I don't know what's going on between the two and stuff. I don't know. To me, there seemed to be a lack of confidence with McGregor in a sense. Did you see that?
He, I don't know if it was maybe he hasn't been in front of a microphone like that in that exact setting since the Mayweather nonsense. Um, he seemed erratic to me. Usually, like Mystic Mac, right? This guy's a calculated cat. He isn't somebody who just like goes out there and throws out erratic, insults and whatever. He does his research. He's a devious dude when it comes to doing research on people he wants to talk trash to. That's why he, says what he says. But he did seem erratic, and I don't know if that was the whiskey possibly. I'm guessing the guy was carrying around two bottles of his new whiskey with him, one in his jacket, one in his hand. So I'm guessing he was probably drinking before he got to the press conference because he was drinking at the press conference. And I mean, well, yeah, he was drinking at the press conference, and so whatever. He didn't seem as smooth as usual. I don't know if it's because he's rattled or if he really hates this guy. I know he hates this guy, but I don't know if the hatred has made him be like that or if it's just because before this we didn't hear anything out of camp from him, right? I mean, why do you think he's been quiet up to this point?
Well, I mean, I think it's a bit of a statement that he's making. I think that's the statement is that my name is going to sell this fight. Everybody shut up, and I'm going to train. And
Yeah,
I'm not doing your pressers. I'm not doing any of this stuff, right? And nobody can really stop him from doing any of that. The UFC needs Conor McGregor. He makes them the most amount of money. So if that's what he wants to do, then that's what they're going to do. But you know, it'll be interesting. This fight is, I know a lot of people think it could be an interesting fight. I 100% don't think it's going to be an interesting fight at all. I think
really.
this thing is going to be a one. Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the most lopsided fights that you're going to see in the entire year, and that's for whichever way it goes.
Really?
Whether Connor wins standing up, I think he beats the pulp out of him standing up, and if that happens, then bang, quick knockout or whatever, TK. And then the other way, I think if Khabib gets a hold of him, he's going to get dragged into the water and suffocated and drowned over 5 rounds and just beaten on. So I just think one way or another, it's a decided fight.
Really? I think you're the first person that I've heard, and I've heard a lot of people talk about this fight. You're the first dude I've heard say that it's going to be a boring fight. I
No,
hadn't
not
even really
boring.
considered
No,
that. I tell
not
you
boring.
what, though, I disagree with you. I think you are dead wrong, homie. Because I mean, that I don't. I think the hatred alone is going to fuel some sort of electricity that is going to be undeniable. The only thing I worry about is if Connor hasn't worked on his ground game to the point that Khabib could maul him, lay on top of him, hold him down, whatever. But then again, I think to myself, well, he had an opportunity to do that against Michael Johnson. Everybody's like, oh, Khabib looked great against Michael Johnson. A lot of guys look great against Michael Johnson, okay? So enough of that. And he didn't finish Michael Johnson. Khabib's not a finisher. So if Khabib does get on top and maul him, I could see this being ground out into like a decision. just because Khabib's not a finisher, and if Connor can't get him off of him, you know what I mean? Like that, what's going to happen? It's
Yeah.
going to be the round will end and then take him down again. The round will end and take him down again, and it's going to be nonstop takedowns. Now, Connor's ground game is stronger than Khabib's stand-up game is, straight up. I don't want to hear any other nonsense otherwise. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you're 100% right about that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, and I only just believe that just because I see Khabib's stand-up being very relatively amateur.
Yeah.
I hesitate saying that, but like it's kind of true. I will disagree with you though. And sorry, hold on. I never said I was excited for, but I just think that I think Connor. A lot of people, I know I heard Bisbing talk about this. Uh, he's got wrestler stuff. To be 100% honest, I don't think that will mean anything, whether he's been working on his wrestling game or not. And in fact, I think it's more important that he strengthen and sharpen his stand-up game. And I think that's why this Mayweather fight that he had, all this time he's put into his boxing,
Yeah.
this is the one fight that I think it will count the most if he's improved even slightly in his stand-up. And I say that because I think the ground game will be irrelevant for him. If he gets on the ground, whether he's been doing 16 hours a day with the best wrestlers they can fly in from Russia or wherever,
Yeah.
it's not going to matter. He's going to drown. If he gets pulled to the ground, that round is done. And it's just whether he can survive the round. It won't matter for that. If he wants to win this fight, his stand up has to be A plus, and he's got to be able to connect with everything he tosses at Khabib and with precision and timing that he has shown, because that's the only way he has to win. He cannot win any other type of fight with this guy. So you know what? I hope he's only spent 20 minutes a day wrestling, to be honest, to make it a contest, because he's only got one shot.
Yeah, and you're not. That's a popular opinion, and after what we saw, it kind of wonder, could we get a Jose Aldo type result? You know what I mean? Just maybe not so quickly, obviously. I mean, that was record setting, but a lot of people were worried after they saw Conor tangle with Chad Mendez. They're worried that Jose Aldo was going to be too much on the ground. Well, Conor made sure it never got to that point, and so it is what it is. But anyways, we will talk about this probably about a dozen more times before the fight happens. In the interest of moving forward, John Jones, man, I mean, this is like one of the greatest of all time. Just walking back into the octagon when people didn't think he would be back anytime soon at all. There's been a lot of talk that, obviously, I don't believe any of it, that USADA was bribed or his agent worked some sort of deal to get him back and da-da-da-da-da. Dana White's confirmed that John Jones will not be fighting on the New York City card, UFC 230. That's the Dustin Poirier and Nate Diaz card. It still doesn't really have a pay-per-view worthy main event yet, so we'll see what happens with that. That could also maybe possibly land John Jones in Toronto, by the way, which would be great for John Jones' fight, because that's a fight that maybe we're planning on going up to see. So that would be amazing. What do you think about John Jones? Oh, and I like to also mention that it does look like it could be Gustafsson or Cormier from what Dana White and the UFC is saying. So what do you think about him coming back? What do you think about that? Where do you think's actually going to happen?
Well, first thing that came to mind was I wonder who he had to snitch on or roll over on to get that kind of break from USADA.
You corrupt mother. I'm telling you, man, you're corrupt.
No, man, come on. You and I know the way some of this stuff works, and he had to do something, and he doesn't have enough money to pay them off. So I think he had to roll over on somebody or something. We'll find out in the next upcoming 6 months, I think. But you know what? Good for the division. I feel bad for Daniel Cormier
Yeah, man.
because one way or another he's going to get thrust in. But I hope they do Gustafsson first. The guy deserves the big profile fight. I think he won the first time he fought John Jones. I'd like to see that. I already know that John Jones is going to beat Cormier, whether it's at heavyweight or light heavyweight. It's already been decided. So
it doesn't
let's see
deserve
him
a
fight
third.
Gus.
It doesn't deserve a third matchup, and nobody came closer to beating John Jones than Gustafsson did. Straight up, end of story. Gustafsson almost, any as you said, a lot of people, including you and I, both think Gustafsson won that fight. You know what I mean? We both think Gustafsson won that fight. There's no reason for a Cormier. I don't want to see it. I'm not going to buy that pay-per-view, and this is what I do for a living. No way. That's ridiculous. Why would I want to see it? That makes less sense to me than watching Silva and Rampage get down this weekend for a fourth time. At least that's some sort of crazy legacy fight and, whatever. I don't want to see this. I mean, oh, God. Anyways, do you think, though, Cormier is going to stick to his guns and retire when he turns 40 in March or April, and that'll be it? And if so, does that mean it's Lesnar and John Jones? His last two fights? You imagine?
I think Cormier will be peer pressured, if you will, if not John Jones pressuring him himself to fight for a third time. This time, Cormier holds all the chips. I mean, he's got the belts, so he can do whatever he wants. He can beat up Brock Lesnar for the heavyweight title. And then maybe go out with a swan song with John Jones. I don't know.
Do you think, though, this is the question, really, and it just occurred to me. If Cormier fights him and then he beats him, would that win be worth even close to as much as either of the Jones wins over Cormier because Jones has been inactive for so long?
If Cormier fights him a third time and beats him, I'll tell you what that says right there. That's going to put everybody who saw those fights and knows that Jones got popped. They're all going to say from then on out that that's the only reason.
Yeah, you only beat him because he was juicing. Yeah, you're right. That's a very good point, brother. That's a very good point. Yeah, and that's ridiculous in a sense because I don't think anything that, obviously he got popped, but I don't think these fighters are doing anything with steroids that's giving them an advantage to the extent that was actually giving them a physical advantage over someone like Daniel Cormier. I don't think it's enough to do that. I also, and I know this is such an unpopular opinion, I also think there's some shady business going on with John Jones' last failed test. There are a lot of people who are stand-up people who have never been in trouble before, who have stood up and said, hey, there's something going on here. He didn't, he wasn't doing this type of thing. Regardless, he got popped. He's done other crap. So whatever, it's not like he didn't deserve to be out of fighting for a while, right? So whatever. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And you know what? Dana White's sitting there going, yeah, I want to maximize this, and I would love nothing more to see Lesnar and John Jones fight Cormier's last two fights because that gives UFC two massive pay-per-views. I mean, and it's like squeezing the fruit for every drop of juice before Cormier just walks off into the commentator's booth forever. You know what I mean? It's like the UFC and Dana White just want to keep squeezing that and just get everything they can out of it. So, we'll see what happens. Now, moving on to, I guess, obviously the big elephant in the room this week is Bellator 206 on Saturday. We have a fight between Rory McDonald and Gegard Mousasi for the middleweight title. What are your thoughts on this fight? I haven't actually talked to you much about this Gegard Mousasi Rory McDonald fight. You there?
No, you just sort of went in and out there a bit. I see you now.
God bless rural internet. Yeah, you froze up on me a little bit too. I tell you, we're going to get this down one day, and when we're huge, we're going to have camera people, and it's going to be great. We're going to have to worry about this crap. But I'm blaming it on you anyways, because you're using your phone, so I'm blaming you. So Bellator 206, what do you think of this Mousasi McDonald main event? I haven't actually heard your opinion on it. And who do you think's going to win?
Oh, okay. Well, interesting fight. I think in terms of overall MMA game, I got, Rory McDonald. I think he's the more complete fighter. And he also brings a gritty toughness that is displayed by only a few, I find really, really high level fighters. Mousasi, I mean, his stand up is very high level, particularly his kickboxing. I mean, his ground game's decent too. I think Rory wins the fight. I think Rory will win a fight. It'll probably be a decision. It'll probably be a fun fight to watch. Or, sorry, an interesting fight to watch. Not a fun fight, an interesting fight. Very technical for anybody who likes to watch. Yes, yeah. So I see it going that way. I don't know. What do you think?
I think the same thing, and I'm going to keep. I've said it a few times now. I think Rory McDonald's going to win the fight. I don't think that Mousasi is going to have his size advantage is going to play a big enough role to change the outcome of the fight. I think the only thing Mousasi has going for him really is his vast amount of experience, and he's so well rounded. They both are though, and McDonald's been in there against the heaviest hitters, right? I mean, this guy Roy McDonald's been in there against everybody. So I expect McDonald to win. My biggest question is if he does win, they're going to end up stripping him, or if I wonder if they're going to end up stripping him of the middleweight title because he's going to have to enter the welterweight Grand Prix, and that's a year. And nobody in middleweight division in Bellator's middleweight division is going to want to wait for a year to face McDonald for middleweight title while he does this welterweight tournament. So it's kind of like if he wins, I'm guessing they're just going to strip him. I mean, they kind of have to keep the division moving.
Yeah, that's probably what makes the sense what'll happen. I don't know. We'll see though. I think I don't think we'll have. Well, geez, yeah, it's one of those things that we'll see what happens. Bellator does some crazy things sometimes, so you never really know what can happen. But like Rory, I really see he's probably going to be the winner of that fight. So they are going to be pressed with that. So we'll have to see what they do.
You have a pick for the Rampage Silva quadrilogy, as I've heard it called, which isn't even a word, I don't think. But would you have a pick for that?
Quadrilogy? I like it.
I don't think I coined that phrase. I stole that from somebody. I straight robbed somebody for that, so it's not mine. But I don't think it's a word anyways. But do you have a pick for the quadrilogy headliner?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like both of these fighters. Takes me back to my early days of fanhood of watching pro and see. I think Rampage has a significant advantage just because of his chin. Vanderlei just can't take a shot like he used to. So I think this will be relevant with this fight because Rampage still hits hard, especially at the heavier weight. So I got Rampage to see. I'd like to see, regardless of the outcome of whatever, I want to see the winner of that fight, the winner of Tito and Chuck, and then have the losers fight each other too. I want to see that. If we're going to do it, if we're going to have these guys fighting, let's do it.
Let's put both fights in the octagon at the same time. That would be great.
Tag team.
Yeah, no, not even. Just straight Royal Rumble, but for real Royal Rumble. We'll throw all four of those guys in there. And then the two winners, but they can't fight each other. They actually, so if Liddell beats Ortiz and Rampage win, Liddell and Rampage have to fight at the same time as Ortiz and Silva are fighting in the same octagon. With three referees in the octagon.
Nice.
Yeah, that'll sell tickets. I'd pay to see that. I mean,
for sure.
That'd be great. We can even get Johnny Hendricks, his bare knuckle boxing debut's coming up. We can get him. We just throw his bare knuckle boxing in the corner over there because they're not going to go to the ground. So they only need a certain 8-9 feet to bare knuckle box. So
yeah, about that.
Yeah, shit. There's no reason not to, man. I think that's a great idea. Yeah,
Ty, you got some great ideas going here, man. You need to let somebody know.
I'm a gold mine. I tell you, I'm a real gold mine. Rampage reminds me of the Junkyard Dog from way back old school WWF wrestling. Remember him? Remember those? Remember those rubber WWF characters that didn't move, but they were gigantic He-Man size, and you could they bent, but you didn't move their arms or any shit like that, so you couldn't really do anything. And then you go and you go to your rich friend's house, which would have been probably your house. And they have the plastic ring there, and the WWF ring you buy for the guys. You could fit one guy in the ring, there wasn't enough room. The ring was tiny. What a ripoff! Sorry to go off on a tangent here, but that always pissed me off. You go off to a rich kid's house. I got to play with the WWF guys and the GI Joes, and then you realize it's garbage. Yep. See, that's why, like me, you grow up playing government cheese boxes, and it turns out better. It's easier, man. Lower expectations. But I don't, I think this fight is gonna be one of the last times we see Rampage and Vanderlei Silva. I'm not so worried about missing Vanderlei Silva. I would like to I would like to see Rampage fight a few more times, but I think, as I said, this will probably be one of the last times we see him. So above all else, I mean, let's just take the opportunity to watch a guy who definitely deserves our respect fight for one of the last times he's going to fight. Hopefully, it's not a disaster. You know. Well, it looks like we lost him again. We are struggling with some bad internet connections because my co-host chooses to use his cell phone rather than a laptop. As you notice, I'm not cutting out at all. So with that, we have rambled on enough for tonight, and I'm going to cut it off and leave him looking silly in the side screen there because that's hilarious. So this has been all 5 rounds. We're gonna, as I was just saying, I'm cutting you off because you're ruining the show with your horrible cell phone. So yeah, you are, but I'm blaming this all on you. So anyways, we have rambled on enough anyways for tonight. We're going to be doing a lot of different stuff, and we're going to be have a real show of graphics and stuff. So stay tuned for that and be patient with us. Plus, I mean, how could you not want to listen to us ramble? I mean, there's so many options out there. So thank you so much for your patience there, Mr. Loucks. And I know tomorrow you're going to be joining me on my 5-part special. You're going to be talking to me about well, we'll see tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow because let's not give away the big reveal. So yeah, I thanks everybody for joining us, and this has been episode 10 of All 5 Rounds.